From the most impossible shot-saving players rounds to unbelievable 1,000 IQ plays that left everyone speechless. These are 15 one-in-a-million golf shots you have to see to believe. And first we start with number 15. Okay, quick question. What do you do when there's an entire house standing between you and the green? If you're a normal human being, you probably take the safe route, punch it out, and pray for par. But if you're Phil Mickelson, you don't go around the house. You go over it. This went down at the 2002 Tour Championship at East Lake. And no, this isn't some backyard trick shot caught on a phone camera. This was in a real tournament, with real pressure and real consequences if it went wrong. Phil's ball had found a ridiculous spot. Obstructed view, giant roof in the way, barely any room to land it. His caddy suggested a layup, the safe play. Punch it to the fairway and try to scramble for par. But we all know Phil. He's never been the type to back down from a challenge, especially when something's on the line. So Lefty looked at the house, looked at the green, and just went for it. He pulled out his lob wedge and launched the most absurd flop shot you've ever seen. The ball went straight up, cleared the roof like a missile, and landed softly on the green, just a few feet from the hole, just casually. Next, number 14. Well, there are bad tee shots, and then there's this. At the 2021 WGC Dell Technologies match play, Jordan Spieth stepped up on the par 4 13th tee and let one rip. But instead of heading toward the fairway, the ball took a wild detour, veering hard left, hitting the cart path and just taking off. Now, most of the time a shot like that ends up in a bush, maybe behind a grandstand. Worst case, you're re-teeing. But not this one. Spieth's ball didn't just bounce somewhere weird, it actually found the 15th green, yep, the wrong hole entirely, while someone else was taking a putt. And that's where it gets awkward. Patrick Cantlay was mid-stroke, locked in on his birdie putt on the 15th green, when Spieth's rogue ball rolled past him like a fan trying to sneak into frame. Cantlay didn't even see it coming until it was too late, and yep, he missed the putt. You could feel the confusion in the air. Cantlay looked up like, what just rolled by me? And Spieth? Probably wondering how in the world a tee shot turned into an unintentional photobomb. Here at number 13, we have some Rory trouble for you. When most players talk about hitting it into trouble, they usually mean the rough, maybe a bunker. But Rory McIlroy? He managed to find something right in the middle of the fairway. Here is what happened. It was the third round of the 2012 PGA Championship at Kiawah Island. Par 4, third hole. Rory pulled a 3-wood off the tee, and the swing looked solid, until the ball started tailing off right and disappeared. Not into the woods, not into the water, into a single oak tree in the middle of the fairway. But here's the twist. At first, it was nowhere to be found. The ball didn't bounce. It didn't drop. It just vanished. After a few moments of confusion, they spotted it, wedged up in the branches like it was trying to hide. Unplayable. So Rory had to take a penalty drop right near the base of the tree. It could have derailed the round, could have started a spiral, but instead, Rory calmly pitched the next shot to about 15 feet and drained the putt for par like nothing ever happened. The crowd loved it. The momentum stayed intact, and from there, Rory just kept climbing, eventually winning the tournament by a record-setting 8 shots. Sometimes majors are won with birdies and brilliance. Sometimes it starts with a ball stuck in a tree and a stone-cold par save. Coming in at number 12. See, the Open Championship is famous for its brutal wins and pot bunkers, but sometimes the real danger is built right into the course itself. And in 2010, Miguel Angel Jimenez found out what happens when you go toe-to-toe with a stone wall, and somehow win. It was the third round of the 2010 Open Championship, and Jimenez had found himself in one of the most awkward spots on the course, tucked right up against the stone wall behind the 17th green, also known as the road hole. There was no backswing, no angle, no real chance of going over. Most players would have taken an unplayable lie or tried to hack something sideways. But Jimenez saw something nobody else did. Instead of fighting the wall, he used it. He turned his body, adjusted his stance, and calmly struck the ball into the stone wall. On purpose. The ball ricocheted clean off the stones, bounced forward onto the green, and settled safely. Perfect distance, perfect angle, like he'd practiced it 100 times. The crowd didn't even cheer at first, they were too stunned. Then came the laughter, the clapping, the realization. This wasn't just a recovery shot. This was genius. In a tournament known for brutal weather and brutal lies, Jimenez delivered a moment of pure creativity. No panic, no hesitation. Just a glass of Rioja in human form, making golf look like art. Number 11 takes us to earlier this year. Did you ever see Ricky Fowler lose his cool? The guy's built a career on staying chill, polite, composed, a fan favorite. But on this day, someone crossed the line, and Ricky snapped back. It happened during the third round of the 2025 Cognizant Classic at PGA National. Ricky was grinding, working his way through a tough back nine, trying to claw into contention. On the par 4 16th, he lined up an 18-foot birdie putt. A solid reed, smooth stroke, just burned the edge. He stepped back, clearly frustrated, but nothing out of the ordinary, until a voice rang out from the crowd. Heckling, loud enough for everyone to hear. One of those fans who thinks a missed putt is a green light to get clever. That's when Ricky turned. Without hesitation, he fired back. Of course you know, that's why you're in the stands. Ouch. It was quick, calm, and brutal. No yelling, no scene, just a perfectly timed verbal dart that hit harder than anyone expected. Here at number 10, we have probably the weirdest one-in-a-million moments ever seen around the green. Did you ever see a guy pull a 3-wood out of a greenside bunker? No? That's because nobody does. Unless you're Michael Block and you've got absolutely nothing to lose. Except maybe a little dignity. But let's be honest. Block had already won the hearts of golf fans all week long. And now, in the final round of the 2023 PGA Championship, he found himself in the kind of position that separates regular pros from legends. His tee shot had landed in a greenside bunker, but this wasn't your standard up-and-down situation. His ball was buried. Awful lie. Right up against the lip, no stance, no angle, and zero chance of spinning anything close. Most players would have just tried to muscle it out and hope for the best. But Block? He saw something different. Instead of reaching for his sand wedge, he pulled out a 3-wood. Not to blast it out, but to put it across the sand. Just to give himself a better lie. And then, he stepped back in. One clean swing, one pure strike, and the ball popped up, landed softly, tracked toward the hole, and dropped. He holed it. From the bunker after using a fairway wood just to set it up. The place went wild, and just like that, Michael Block added another chapter to the most unlikely, unforgettable run of the week. He didn't just escape the bunker, he owned it. Which brings us to number 9. Tony Finau was spiraling. 3 straight bogeys, 1 under for the tournament, and with the cut line sitting at 2 under, he was staring straight at a weekend off. It was Friday at the 2025 Valero Texas Open, and things weren't looking good. He'd started the day in decent position, but as the round went on, the wheels began to wobble. A missed fairway here, a lipped-out par putt there, and suddenly, he was bleeding strokes. The kind of slow-motion collapse that makes even the best players start doing math in their heads, cut line math. Then came the par 3 16th at TPC San Antonio, 199 yards, pressure mounting, and Finau knew it was now or never. He grabbed an 8-iron, calm swing, clean contact. The ball landed right on the front edge of the green, started rolling, picked up speed, and then, boom, it disappeared. Hole in one. Just like that, Finau went from outside the cut to comfortably inside it, from clinging to life to back in the game. And the best part? He didn't force anything after that. Just 2 solid pars to close out the round with an even par 72. No wild fist pumps, no screaming. Just a quiet walk to the 17th tee like, yeah, I meant to do that. When you need something big, Tony Finau delivers, and in this case, it only took 1 shot to turn everything around. Coming in at number 8, most guys get excited when they drain a 20-footer, maybe a fist pump for something around 30, but a 105-foot putt? That's not even in the playbook, unless you're Patrick Fishburne. Final round of the 2025 Valero Texas Open, par 4 17th at TPC San Antonio. Fishburne wasn't in the lead, but he was hanging around, just close enough that something crazy could flip the script. And then it happened. After a big drive, Fishburne found himself on the green, but miles away. 105 feet, 8 inches to be exact. The kind of putt that usually ends with a polite 2-putt and no complaints. But not this time. The ball started on an uphill slope, slow and steady. Then it crested the ridge, picked up pace, turned slightly left, and just kept going. The crowd started buzzing, half in awe, half in disbelief. This thing was tracking. And then center cut. It dropped. A 105-foot eagle bomb. Not only the longest made putt on the PGA Tour since 2008, but the second longest ever recorded in the ShotLink era. Just like that, Fishburne shot up the leaderboard and ended the tournament tied for 5th, easily the best finish of his PGA Tour career. No roar, no swagger, just a guy with a beard and a putter who casually dropped the longest putt anyone's seen in nearly 2 decades. Number 7 is one of those moments that feels impossible to repeat, a once-in-a-lifetime screw-up that absolutely no one saw coming. Golf fans usually dream of front-row seats in the hospitality area, but during the 2014 Barclays, a few lucky ones got a little too close to the action. Phil Mickelson was doing Phil Mickelson things, aggressive swings, unpredictable lines, and absolutely zero fear off the tee. On the par 4 5th hole at Ridgewood, he took a rip with the driver and sent his ball way left. Not into the rough, not into the trees, straight into the hospitality tent. Chairs were moved, beers were relocated, and Phil, always the showman, strolled in with a grin, signed a few autographs, and played his next shot like nothing had happened. But the real magic came the next day. Same hole, same club, same swing, and same exact outcome. His tee shot once again veered left, almost identical to the day before, and landed right back in the hospitality zone. Phil just laughed, tossed up his hands, and shouted to the crowd, "Not again." The place erupted, fans doubled over, and just like that, a random tee shot turned into one of the funniest, most talked about moments of the tournament. Mickelson didn't care about optics. He didn't tighten up or play safe. He went full send, even if it meant turning the VIP section into his personal landing zone. Because that's lefty. When he goes off course, he goes all in. Now at number 6, we are at the Masters Par 3 contest, which is usually all smiles, family vibes, and a relaxed warm-up before the real grind begins. But in 2016, 2 players decided to turn it into a fireworks show, one that no one at Augusta had ever seen before. It happened on the 4th hole with Justin Thomas, Ricky Fowler, and Jordan Spieth grouped together. Just a casual trio of golf's brightest young stars having some fun before the main event. But then things got weird. Thomas stepped up first. Smooth swing, 1 hop, and then splash, straight into the cup. Ace. The crowd erupted. Spieth went nuts. Thomas cracked a grin, but the party wasn't over. Fowler, not to be outdone, stepped up right after him. Same hole, same group, same exact outcome. He also aced it. Back-to-back holes in one, on the same hole, in front of a packed crowd at Augusta. People didn't even know how to react. Grown adults were screaming. Kids were jumping up and down. Even the caddies were looking around like, did that really just happen? It was the first time in Par 3 contest history that 2 players had made back-to-back aces on the same hole. And as if that wasn't wild enough, the 2016 edition saw a record-breaking 9 holes in 1, the most ever in a single Par 3 contest at Augusta. Call it luck, call it friendly rivalry, call it whatever you want. But that day, the Par 3 contest stole the show. Sliding into our top 5, and imagine walking off the course after shooting a 6 under 65, tied for 3rd, feeling great, maybe even eyeing a win. Now imagine being told, you're disqualified. That's exactly what happened to Nasa Hataoka during the first round of the 2024 ShopRite LPGA Classic. It all came down to her final hole, the par 5 9th. Her second shot sailed into the tall fescue near the green, and suddenly, the hunt was on. Dozens of people joined in. Volunteers, fellow players, even a cameraman all scouring the thick grass. Eventually, the ball was found. Hataoka played it, finished the hole, signed her card, and headed off thinking she'd just wrapped up one of her best rounds of the season. But that's when it gets worse. Because a video review showed the search had gone longer than 3 minutes, the time limit allowed under Rule 18.2a. And if a ball isn't found in that window, it's officially considered lost, which meant that by playing the found ball, Hataoka had unknowingly played from the wrong place, a serious rules breach under Rule 14.7. And because she didn't correct the mistake before leaving the scoring area, she was disqualified. No warning, no penalty strokes, just gone from the tournament. She went from a potential leaderboard threat to completely out of the event, all because of a time clock she didn't even know had expired. It sparked a lot of debate about video reviews about real-time officiating and how brutal golf rules can be when they're enforced to the letter. Hataoka didn't cheat, she didn't try to bend anything, but in the end, a 6-under round turned into a DQ, and it might have cost her way more than just a trophy. Next, number 4. The 18th hole at Augusta National has seen a lot of drama over the years, but this was just pure fun. Final round of the 2025 Masters. Justin Thomas and Min-Woo Lee were wrapping up solid but quiet weeks. Nothing spectacular, both well out of contention. But golf has a way of saving its fireworks for the very end. First up, Min-Woo Lee. His approach found the back bunker, tough up and down to finish. But with one smooth swing, he holed it for par. The crowd roared. And then, before the noise had even died down, Thomas stepped up. From the left side of the green, slightly downhill, not an easy lie, but he read it perfectly, clipped it clean, and boom, in it went. Back-to-back chip-ins, one for par, one for birdie, from the same group on the final hole at Augusta. The place erupted. Neither guy was in the mix to win, but that 1-minute stretch gave the fans, and each other, a moment they won't forget. Coming in at number 3, in one of the most shocking storylines golf has ever seen, Angel Cabrera, a former Masters champion and convicted felon, won a professional tournament just 1 week before returning to Augusta National. But it gets even worse. Cabrera, who won the Masters in 2009, spent over 2 years in prison after being convicted of assault and intimidation against former partners. The news that a major champion was serving time behind bars stunned the sports world and cast a dark cloud over his legacy. He was released in August 2023 and slowly began rebuilding his career. But nobody expected what came next. Just days before the 2025 Masters, Cabrera stunned everyone by winning a PGA Tour Champions event, proving that at 54, he could still compete with the best. His victory instantly reignited debates about whether someone with his criminal record should be allowed back at Augusta. Thanks to the tournament's policy of giving lifetime invitations to past champions, Cabrera was eligible to play. The decision sparked major backlash. Critics called it tone-deaf, while others argued he had served his time and earned the right to compete. And then, reality set in. Angel Cabrera missed the cut at the 2025 Masters, karting rounds of 75 and 80. The man who once conquered Augusta couldn't make it past Friday. It wasn't the fairy tale ending some expected, but maybe that was the point. Next, number 2. So pressure shots don't come much bigger than this. It's the final round of the 2017 Travelers Championship, and Jordan Spieth is locked in a sudden death playoff with Daniel Berger. The stage is set on the par 4 18th hole, and both players find themselves in tough spots after their tee shots. Spieth's ball ends up in a greenside bunker, the kind of lie that would make even the best players break a sweat. With everything on the line, Spieth steps into the bunker, surveys the shot, and steadies himself. The tension is palpable. He swings, and the ball pops out cleanly, soaring toward the pin. The crowd holds their breath as it lands, takes one bounce, and drops straight into the hole. Everyone goes wild. Spieth throws his club into the air in pure exhilaration, sprinting toward his caddy, Michael Greller, for a chest bump that's part celebration, part relief. The crowd goes wild, and Berger, still waiting to chip, can only watch in disbelief. With that shot, Spieth claimed his 10th PGA Tour title and etched his name into golf history with one of the most iconic celebrations ever seen. And finally, the big number 1. You know that sinking feeling when one mistake turns into 2 and then somehow turns into a disaster? Cameron Young lived that nightmare on one of the most iconic holes in golf. Second round of the 2025 Masters, par 3 16th at Augusta National. Young was hanging around the cut line, battling to stay alive after a tough front 9. All he needed down the stretch was steady, just keep the wheels on. But then came the 16th. His tee shot came up short and right, never a good miss on that hole. Still, the chip was solid, left himself about 12 feet for par, and then the unraveling began. He missed the par putt. Okay, no big deal. Then he missed the comeback putt and then another. By the time he finally tapped in, he'd 4-putted for a triple bogey 6. Just like that, he went from barely hanging on to watching the weekend slip away. But it didn't stop there. Shaken, Young bogeyed both 17 and 18 to shoot a brutal 79, finishing at 7 over par, nowhere near the cut. One hole didn't just ruin his round, it ended his Masters. At Augusta, the smallest mistakes get magnified, and for Cameron Young, one green, just one, turned into a full-blown meltdown. Oh, and now you're still here. We have another great video for you to watch right in the middle of the screen. Enjoy.